So the purpose and the use of the contactor is so that we can control our load. For example, here we have this electric motor coupled to this gearbox. And we want to control that motor when to turn on and when to turn off. If we would just wire our power directly to the motor, it would either be on all the time, or if you wire it through a switch, you would have to have somebody there flipping the switch on and off, or manually come and hit the switch on and off to have the motor running and energizing when you want it to. On the other hand, if you have a contactor, like here we have a motor starter here, you can then control it. You can manipulate your circuit to tell when that motor can come on and when it needs to turn off. And if those conditions are not met, the motor can either not run or it won't turn off. And to give you an example, I have this setup here today. I have a master control relay that's going to have a control power, and then it's going to have a start limit switch and a stop limit switch. So once we establish control power, we are going to use these two limit switches to start and stop this motor. So let's give you an example application. Let's say that this electric motor and gearbox here is the main drive component for a conveyor system. And this conveyor system, when product comes down the line and it meets the conveyor, it's going to trigger this limit switch, which is then going to start the function of our electric motor. The conveyor will then start up, product moves down the line, makes it to the end of the conveyor, and then it's going to hit this limit switch. This is the stop limit switch. This limit switch is then going to shut off power to our electric motor. And once this limit switch is hit, or if the product's at the end of the line, you cannot hit that limit switch to start that motor up. So that is the sequence that we have for this motor. So we're going to see exactly how it works. We have the power supply on. So now we're going to come and turn on control power. Here our control relay is energized. So now we have control power. And then we're going to flip on our incoming three-phase power. And then now, like I said, product is going to make its way down the line, makes it to the conveyor, makes its way to the conveyor, hits the limit switch, our contactor pulls in, and our drive system starts. Product is now moving down the line. It moves down the line, makes it to the end of the line, and then it hits this limit switch. Once it hits this limit switch, it triggers off the contactor and our drive unit system stops. And then once the product comes off of this limit switch, it goes back to its normal state. We can then start the process again, or the next product can come down the line, hit that, and start up our motor again. And then now let's observe the scenario where we do not want this electric motor system to start up when we have product at the end of the line of the conveyor. So let's go ahead. We start up our conveyor. So product makes its way, it starts it up, and it's now continuing down the line. Now it makes its way to the end of the line. It hits that limit switch, and now the conveyor stopped. If a product would then, the next product would come, and it would hit this limit switch, we cannot start it up. That's to prevent the products from jamming into each other. Can't start the sequence until the product at the end of the line has been removed. So the product at the end of the line has been removed. We can then, the next product can then come and start up the sequence again. Another advantage of using a contactor is we can use a lower voltage that is safer to control a higher voltage that is not as safe. So here we have three-phase 480 coming into the top side of our contactor. We can then use 24 volts DC from this power supply. We feed it through our low voltage or our control power fuse, and then we can use that 24 volts DC to command this contactor to turn on and off. That is a really significant advantage of using a contactor. in the low voltage is much safer because the components that the operator will need to come and touch is running off 24 volts DC. So if anything would happen, a wire would fall out and an operator would accidentally touch it, they wouldn't even notice it. Compared to as if everything here ran off 483 phase, the operator will not be as lucky if they would accidentally touch a wire that fell out from the electrical components that they need to touch and operate. So yes, you can run power directly to your load and just have a run full time or however, but the advantage of using the contactor, once again, is the controlling of it. We can command when that electric motor turns on and off. So thank you for asking a good question. Until next time, deuces.